Thank you. We go to Ko next to tell us about Eureka. Please, Ko.
Yeah, right. So Eureka started actually off in 2016, before there was even mentioning of European alliances. We came together with 6 founding fathers, and one of the founding fathers is our guest here, not our guest, our host here. This is Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. This developed, and in 2024, we went for the first funding of Eureka as a European University Alliance, which is focused around the urban context of all our partners, because the full partners are in capitals or main cities within Europe. We have Helsinki, we have Frankfurt, who's here actually, we have Amsterdam, we have Ghent, which is a main city in Flanders, I could say. We have Lisbon, and we have Ostrava in Czechia. And apart from that, we have partners also in the United Kingdom, and I hope they can join because of the Erasmus deal. They can join as a full partner, and Vienna, who's a very, very good partner, who is also going to join as a full partner. So we are in the first cycle, and we are working towards a bridge call. What we want to do with our alliance is go for an integrated education and research attack of sustainable and smart cities. That's actually our main goal. And we do a lot of things, of course, also in education, but as we were asked to focus on research and innovation, I can say that we have developed 3 centers of expertise, and these expertise centers, they are focused around first, climate neutral and resilient cities, second, around circular society in transition, and third, very interesting, yesterday there was a very interesting workshop about that, innovative ways of implying governments and citizens, engage them within our research and within our education. After all, we are the universities of connected sciences, right? Not only of applied sciences, the University of Engaged Sciences, and that's what we want to do with these centers of expertise. These are virtual centers that are actually sharing a research agenda. And I think it was Ninke, maybe it was the first day, who stated that a common research agenda is so important. Also, in relation, for instance, to the municipality where you are working. So we are sharing this research agenda, which is based on urban challenges, obviously also based on the research expertise each of the institution have. And thirdly, based obviously also on the European policy agenda. We do this research or want to do this research in the centers of expertise from the quadruple helix view.
And if I look to how we are organized, I think our most important one, of course, we have our curriculum there, but we are very much focusing how do we bring knowledge to our regions, having a challenge there and really bring our educational part and our research part together on assignments coming from industry, where we have living labs from all our universities, where we really go into our regions, connecting with the businesses and other organizations, and bring research and educations to them. And also having what we call the RTA, the Regional Transition Accelerator, where we really are working together with our regional partners, governments, industry, and other organizations to speed up the development of our regions. Thank you very much, Chair. So finally, we go towards you. Okay, thank you very much. I'm very glad for that the opportunity to represent EU for Dual to you. As you might guess from the name, EU for Dual, we are looking out for dual education, dual higher education, and we are as young as ambitious as in University Association because we just had the vision to be the most important brand in dual higher education worldwide. Still a vision, and we are still working on that. As already said, we are also a consortium that comes from north to south, from east to west, and that means in particular we are having partners from Malta as well as from Finland, from Poland as well as to Spain, and we are gorgeously led by the Vice President of EURASHE, John Anna-Lena, by Mondragon. And the specific feature about all of us that all of our partner organizations are engaged into some kind of dual higher education. That will concretely means that we are reaching out to the world, integrating them, and having a kind of shared responsibility within all of our points with the kind of
dual approach or cooperative approach. So it doesn't come with surprise that our research objects are also somehow either cooperative approach or dual studies themselves as a kind of didactic, as a kind of approach. Let me briefly mention four aspects of our joint research so that you have the opportunity to reach out to us, or also as we have learned copy or skill from us in a way. First of all, to reach out for that studies, we have already introduced a new European scientific journal for dual higher education in Europe. We've already published second version of it, and we also have an accompanying journal, which is not a scientific and more practitioners journal in dual higher education, so that also other colleagues from history, but also students could publish their work in that. This is a scientific one, and the second version is already published, so continue to reach out. We are always looking for good practical science in dual education in Europe. The second focus point is we have three grand challenge areas that we are approaching by our alliance. This is the future of work, this is the green economy and healthy living areas. And within that, we have found or elaborated accompanying lighthouse research. We call them also areas where our researchers and teachers join together and where we elaborate specific topics within it, specific research topics, but also merge our competences to reach out for European funded other programs and projects with all the other alliances worldwide, and of course of global work. The third focus point is our joint, it's not called the joint industrial PhD approach at the very beginning. In the meantime, we're reaching out for a joint dual PhD approach. And we've heard a lot about PhD approaches this morning already. And we are looking out for some in between comprehensive research PhD and professional PhD, also deviating from that an industrial PhD, because we don't want to educate students in the industry, but at the universities with a shared responsibility industry. So we came up with a new model, and we're really ambitious in a way because we already applied for policy experimentation call through with a joint and European degree label PhD program, hopefully by 2028 as well. So this is the plans for that. And finally, we have also put in place some accompanying research, I would say, structure approaches. We put in place a researcher and teachers network. We put in place shared research infrastructure, and all of that accompanied by adequate policies, how to handle it, how to inform it, and how to share it.
That's good. I think again to what we're hearing, lots of commonalities, similarities, but also differences between the alliances. And from a Run EU perspective, it's run as regional university network. We're also in non-capital cities, and we have three primary focuses: the green, digitalization, the green economy, social inclusion. So that's the way that we are structured across the alliance. So I think more like this show how important it is for alliances to be talking to each other. We just come from some of us come from the Sound Network that EURASHE convenes. There's lots of national fora that are coming together, and of course we have an overall mission funded project for EU for all, looking at the picture of the alliances. But I think see from what we have heard, the difference in the power of the particular alliances. We have a couple of questions. I'm going to go first. So, has your membership of the alliance improved your research and innovation portfolio and contributed to research informed education in your university?
Well, it certainly has at least two ways. First of all, it has led to an increase of the number, but also the quality of research proposals and successful research proposals. For that, you not only have to work together, you also have to enable this by complement this with internal policy changes within the institution. Right? That means that not only mobility, not only employee, potentially for students and for personnel that work together with partners, but also the research coordinators are given time and also giving coaching to go for international project proposals, for research proposals, so that actually are preferred with partners from our Eureka network. And this has led to an increase not only in the international but also at the national level because of strong partnership at the national level or the industry level has led to the increase of the number of successful grants that we have got. This was combined with the reorganization research within the institution, which matches actually the generation of a common research agenda with research centers, a couple of which actually quite some of which are now engaged within research agenda of Eureka. And thereby we present a network because you cannot force collaboration in research. Researchers, they look for opportunities, but what you can do is open the way to find partners in our Eureka network such that we can do very strong and good research. We have, of course, goals set within the project for a number of large EU projects that we want to retain. It's number 12. 12 we have to retain good projects. We already have 28, and in half of them, my institution is a full partner. So, first of all, then, now that the quality of the proposals are certainly increased because of the alliance. Second, and this is an even more important aspect, I would say, this is the fact that the awareness and the price, I think it's amazing who called it thousand miles, right? The awareness and the price to be a University of Applied Sciences has increased because of the awareness within Eureka that we as University of Applied Sciences can really help in supporting the European and becoming stronger economically, scientifically, and what powers. This idea of working in a horizontal instead of a hierarchical way, this idea is really vibrant within our alliance, and we strengthen each other in this view. And this means also that we are more fully aware of the importance of our research projects. Actually, it's something that we feel, maybe we hope it more than really the reality, but that we feel that is coming to a change within Europe and actually also within Flanders, where my institution is part of. I have the impression that the Flemish government is actually reaching out more to the University of Applied Sciences, which maybe 10 years ago were considered, second, maybe third place. Students that go to the real university that can't make it, they go for a second prize at our institution. This has been changing. And just last week, this is literally the case. Last week, the Flemish Parliament has agreed that from then on, Hoogend and other hogescholen in Flanders can present themselves as universities of applied sciences and arts. Before that, we were inhibited to do, we could not do it. I could not represent myself as University of Applied Sciences and Arts because our research university is objective. And it's also only after a struggle of 10 or 15 years that they now accept us, which is quite strange, you would say. And I'm pretty sure that the fact that from the 13 Universities of Applied Sciences in Flanders, 6 are member of the European Alliance has played a role in there. Because all of a sudden they realized, well, there's something else on the research university. There's also this, university college, now known as University of Applied Sciences and Arts, that can play a role in Flanders and plays a role in Flanders and can play in Europe. And this is another way in which, our alliance has helped us in growing and being more and being also partners.
Well, thank you. That's a very informative, and I agree that the challenge that we have as University of Applied Science, Technological Universities, Polytechnics, with traditional comprehensive has been long, and I think that there is awareness and we see that how good we are, how delivering we are for our students, for the world of work, and indeed from the RDI side that we are the latest and greatest in terms of when they do go to work, that they're so good in their universities. So do you want to comment on that, Dick, quickly, because I know we've got a couple of questions to go to.
Yeah, just a slight comment to that. We in the Netherlands, University of Applied Sciences, did a survey on our network with companies and public organizations. And the outcome of that was that our network with companies and organizations is much bigger than the research universities. Of course, it would advise us, or it's important somebody else does it. But what's also very important to see is that half of the what we in the Netherlands call the innovative SMEs are collaborating. And especially the SMEs are, of course, it's very, very difficult to approach educated knowledge. We, as applied universities, we are able to really connect to the SMEs.
So we corner back so if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's why I really think it was important. I think John said at a certain moment, we have to redefine excellence. I mean, if excellence keeps on being defined as the number of publications in very good journals, international journals, I think we are completely wrong. Of course, this is an aspect of maybe excellence, but only looking to that is really devastating for our institutions and the impact that we generate. We have to try and put indicators for that, but at this moment, indicators are not there. And the way people look at impact and excellence is completely biased. That's why I was very happy with the policy as we presented on the General Assembly, and I fully commit to this policy paper because it really states there what we are and how we can play such an important role in the growth of Europe and position in Europe within these August blocks as the region of innovation and and as long as people look through the eyes of the research university to excellence, it will not work. And we have to think.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, we're going to change tack slightly. I'm going to go through Roswitha and we're going to go back to the alliances, what makes them work, what supports are needed, both from the European Commission and from the member states to ensure that we get effective R&I collaborations.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Let me broaden up the topic a little bit because we heard yesterday that Europe has really some structural deficits. And one of them is getting more business investments into our R&D, but the other is as well, and it's really touching on all of us, is that we do a lot of research in our systems, but there is not so much research outcome and impact so far. Yeah, and I think there could be some support mechanisms which go beyond the alliance themselves. And we have some good examples from private-public partnerships, yeah, where we might step in and insofar it meets our alliance because it needs our integration mechanisms where you could start researching together with the economy, with the companies already. So it's not our duty as a university to come up with some results and then let's find somebody who could deploy or where we could deploy, where we could commercialize our issues. But from the very beginning, they are on board because they are co-investing. And there might be nice mechanisms to do so, some more soft mechanisms, some more hard mechanisms in PPP models. And we have a few nice examples in Austria for that kind of. And the first of it is a kind of innovation lab, regulatory sandboxes. Regulatory sandboxes where we find or where we get half of the reports funded by the ministry, so by half is funders, and half of them have to be brought up by could be companies, but it could also be other universities or however from a public side of it. And the nice thing is that within a period of, for instance, 4 years, we are working together and we are also get support from regulatory body to come up with new solutions which would not be possible in a normal world. This is not within maybe an alliance, but it could be some ideas or things that could be forward with the European Commission, which could also be reached by alliances. And to give you an example, what we're talking about is, for instance, we did one innovation lab in unmanned aerial mobility. Yeah? So to come up with drone test regions in real world environments. And we had a regulatory body from Austria on board. So otherwise, we could do maneuvers and we could do research projects and innovation projects which would not have been possible outside, yeah, from a regulatory point of view. Just one model. Or another one is, which is also heavily funded by the Austrian Ministry, is institutionalized research center solutions, PPP models, where the companies partners have seen in an association of the Austrian government. This is called the Christian Doppler Research Laboratory of Research Society, and we found a lab together with the company and with more companies, not only one. And this is a strategic research program we were for a period of 5 years in a PPP financing model. And the nice thing about this is that we can breadth in a way that means partners would step in course of the duration, and you will get top-up money from the ministry to do so, as long as it's elaborated to a kind of more advanced or excellency scheme. So, and since there is public funding on board, the applied universities may keep their IP within not exactly the field, the title field of interest, beyond that, feel free to proceed. And this is something where you can even approach some more critical or some more advanced research topics together with universities. There's also the possibility for universities to join in, that you get an external module partner. So you can join forces with universities to really come up with industry-led, industry-based problems, which still have a really depth in research as well. So this is a specific model. And several nation states already trying to copy it, and it could be a nice idea that the European Commission should step in that one, for instance, as well. Yeah.
Agreed 100%. That's pretty much that. I think look at the PPP approach, particularly where you've got the member states, other universities collaborating. Why would we be reinventing or we collaborate with others who have got similar expertise? And of course, companies' involvement showing that they're still in the game. It's good to see them contributing to make sure that this is meaningful. And your point about the IP is well made because when there's public money involved, I think it's important to ensure that we do put the IP correctly.
If I give me the opportunity to add one further example, is because we heard of the city cooperation yesterday, and it was really fascinating for me. I want to add one example from the city of Graz where we are working. It came up because there is a city strategy where the universities are invited to contribute the economic strategy of the city of Graz, and there are a few representatives. I have the honor also to be in that team over there, and come up with a new model, which is already running now for a few years. It's called the Science Fit model, and there all the universities, the comprehensive universities in my region, it's 3 of them, and 2 applied universities join in together with one non-university research organization, and 6 partners of us are a kind of hunting community. And we are hunting SMEs and companies to support them in R&D topics. And this Science Fit program is funded by the regional state government, by the city of Graz, and by the Chamber of Commerce of the cities. And we have success indicators if we helped a specific number of companies coming up with new research products. I think this is a nice example of joining forces between all the universities and joining the cities and really coming up with the very specific targeted challenges of that very region and of that city.
Thank you very much. That's great. I'm going to move to Agnes. So in terms of what do you feel works in developing certain innovation activities and not as a working just
what doesn't okay when you ask me to prepare for this question, I said, oh my gosh, no, I'm gonna give away all our secrets. So because I consider our alliance Uterus as very successful actually, and so those things, what is the road science behind it, and I came up with a list of very simple things at the end, which maybe sound I don't know too easy, but what was the result of my thinking was that actually we share similar interests. So we come from non-capital cities, so we are universities deeply embedded in our region. So definitely, so the focus and the intentions of our work are very similar. I think that makes us also it's easy for us to agree on things when we say, okay, let's start something new. Despite the size differences, and just to maybe illustrate a little bit, altogether our alliance consists of, so the total of students is 100,000, so And for example, my institution, we come with 700 students only, so it's maybe an anomaly on Europe's map. So tiny institution, so we call ourselves a micro university, and we say we come from a micro city in Bulgaria, actually, so that it's an element. I'm thinking often, and I'm coming from the smallest member of the alliance. I can say that I never felt that my size matters in deciding what we do, in initiating things, in starting new projects. So that in that sense, I would say that we are all equal. Doesn't matter of how big or small we are. I would say another element is that we have very good knowledge of each other. The alliance was launched in 2020, so it means that quite a number of years have passed already. We are working together, and it hasn't been just management meeting. It's staff members. We have very active mobility happening. Of different working groups, the centers of excellence, so the research, they meet online and offline, and so it's a very kind of vibrant community that we have developed. And so that's very important for deep cooperation, which I was stressed at the very beginning. And I would say also work ethics. We open each other's emails, we read them, we respond in time. So it sounds maybe simple, but in this very busy times when you get, I don't know, 1,000 things every day, and it's like the attention span of people is shrinking and shrinking. So it is something that I want to stress as well. And I would say also that this thing, how does it sound in English, but applied and entrepreneurial mindset. So I listened yesterday to that in the session of the applied Excel experiences, and the colleague from Hong Kong, he said that compared to research intensive universities or university of applied science, we deliver. So when we start something, we try to finish it as well. So that it's this applied approach, not just in theory or in paper, something we write in our strategies, but it's really something that we also practice. I think that's one important element. And finally, I won't say why it works. It's eagerness to explore, see and notice new opportunities and try to see. So what's interesting there for us, and also for my institution being in EURASHE. So it was a suggestion by Hannes Ratzetter, which is from the St. Paul University of Applied Sciences, actually the initiator of users networks. So it was his suggestion. So see whether it is interesting for you, for you, and so it's the third year for us already being here, and we find new partners, we find the like-minded people here, and we are very happy to be among you. But then coming to the second part of the question, so what does not work, and here I can talk about from the perspective I can talk from the perspective of my institution. Maybe the other partners mention something different. I can say that the same thing as I already mentioned, that our service, that having is 400 students, having a bit more than 100 staff, permanent staff members at the university, so it's a challenge for us. Very often our ambitions are greater than our capabilities. So we run out of capacity, we run out of working hours very quickly. So that is a challenge for us. And I've been saying yeah, that this is something that limits us. But yeah, maybe somebody else was.
Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
no, brilliant contribution. I agree fully, right? So, bigger does not necessarily mean better, that's for sure. Yeah, I agree. And I think that, look, delivering and the ability to deliver and showing them how to do that. And of course, yeah, we all know there's a day for us to do everything we need to do. So, resources are constrained. Okay, I'm going to, so going Do you want, I'm gonna go to Jake for the last formal question. You okay to stay for this question or do you need to go? Okay, great. So Jake, to you. So the future of European universities, the initiative itself, right? What would you like to see it support?
Yeah, to answer the question, for me, it's very important to have a different view, perhaps also on our transitions. Because if I look to the transitions we are facing on health and on green transition, digitalization, it's very important to not just stick by the experiment or just stick by the individual innovation for one company or one organization, but to really be able as universities of applied science and also as biases to spread it out. So to do the scale up, the pilot phase, scale up phase of innovations in individual companies, but also to spread out all kinds of innovations to other companies. And by doing that, picking up really the innovations within Europe, within our region, within our countries. And if I look from that perspective to European Union, what's needed for a healthy future for European Universities Alliance, for me it's very clear that there should be a triangle from a policy perspective. A triangle which comes from the regional perspective, the cohesion funds you could say in Europe, how they look at regional development, the perspective of how are we going to speed up really innovation, bringing it up to scale and not only sticking to individual cases. So therefore, FP Denmark makes it possible to really organize that kind of speeding up of innovation to all kinds of companies, and of course establishing continuation of the European University itself.
Thank you, Jake. So with that, we're going to suggest Cohen, if you need to leave your train, you need to leave your train, right? So okay, well, we're going over to the audience. I would say if there's questions, first question for Cohen, and then I promised you hadn't done 4+12, it's now 4+12. So any burning questions for Cohen first, Cohen?
Yes.
Open to the audience. So any questions for any of the panelists in relation to the alliances, in particular the RBI research and innovation activities? So floor is yours. Okay, we have a question from our colleague from Croatia. So
But very brief. So one, do you have any examples on how you organize sharing of research infrastructure? Okay, that's one. And then between members of the alliance, of course. And then the other one is given how the motivation for research is so very different at different universities. So in your alliances have a set of partners who are very differently positioned locally, nationally, and so on and so forth. How did you manage to found joint research groups between yourself in the alliance? Since some scientists are motivated by impact only, others are motivated by research publications, still others are motivated by getting into the curriculum and into teaching the results from the research. So the researchers themselves have very different motivations across our institutions. So how did you struggle with that?
Thank you. So two good questions. What, Jake, please? Sorry.
If I look to our alliance, we have a very strong common base in being regionally rooted. So everybody who works at all online partners lives in an area, lives in a region, wants to be that region to be prosperous. And that really makes us come together. I think a second very important step we made is organizing what we call TIGs, thematic interest groups, just that the people come together on the same subject, expertise base, you could say, that they at least meet, get to know each other, and then, it will happen that they find some ways to collaborate one with another. And if I look to the infrastructure points, there's also, I think two ways. One is to have clear sight on which infrastructure is at which university, the very basic one. But what also helps a lot is to have an exchange from research. A researcher is working for 2, 3 months with another university. That really knows what's in there, not only on the list, but also how it works, etc. I think that's also a very important one to share the infrastructure.
Questions. So we don't struggle. We describe the homework publications with the institutions. So, because in Utrecht, we focus really on the real life challenges, on the products, on working with companies and delivering something that is practical, useful, and applicable. So, and I can speak from my personal experience that I am a communication scientist. So I deliberately can separate what I do within the alliance where I work with students, I work with companies, I think about their needs and their problems, but then a stream on what are the public my research work, so that I can try to kind of split these two. So and I wouldn't say that it's something to struggle with. It's just you acknowledge. So life is the way it is, basically, and so many, actually several of our alliance partners also members in WAR. So these principles are something that we also feel like not just something written on paper, but something that we try also to bring to life. And in Latvia, of course, big yes. So to grasp actually the core principles, I would say, on the national policy level. So the life for universities, it is designed according to the view that is more characteristic for of course. But I would say that it's always working around these issues, and it's good that you raise the question. So it's I think it's important that we think about it, and we try to find a solution that does it's not one size fits all for everybody. So but the longer my advice helps or not, but this is our contract. Maybe it will not work in future, so another solution will be needed. So that's how it is at the moment.
Thank you very much. I think I really understand your question, motivation behind it, because for us, as well, that find the researchers and the professors to buy or to get a buy-in or into our initiative from the very beginning. We had my advantage from that point of view that the head of local office and our local office of our is anchored in the research management from the very beginning onwards. So we also had both subject matters in one view, so the internationalization in the research as well. But what we did, for instance, at our university level was we made research speed dating events. Yeah, EU for EU research speed dating events. And we really came up with different challenge areas we had in our alliance, and we looked out and we reached out for our professors in the different departments and told them what's in for them, what we done, and we invited them to some nice events. We did some catering afterwards and some networking parties and things like that, so that they get that awareness. That was done at my university. And also at the alliance level, we made calls for expression of interests, yeah, for certain research groups to join different research groups and to come up with proposals for new research groups. And then we sorted them out and we put in place some organizational structure to support the heading or the leading research groups with some resources so that they could meet, they could get some protocols, some people were looking after the gender and following up on the issues, and at the end we ended up in several groups, and yes, of course, we reached out for musicals to get some more funding money but also some more, let's say, not really research proposals, but some exchange teams where you get money to just visit the other partners, you can go there and get some first impressions and some first networks or, yeah, first parts or first basics for building up a new building.
Thank you, Rosamund. From our perspective, from a TUS perspective, more from coordinating and sitting in the research, development and innovation office in collaboration with our internationalization department. We are the coordinators through the research and supporting projects we've established across one EU, multiple formal international research groups where there's a process for getting involved. And the other two things I would say, we do co-supervision across various members of the Institute for Masters in European and hence shared infrastructure for the students that need it for the projects that they're working on. But yeah, I think in here today, you need to go, right? You can only do so much online. Yes, online is great, it helps, but you have to go physically to meet the various researchers and research teams. So, great, thank you. Okay, we time for one more question. Oh.
Thank you. Roswitha kind of semi-answered the question, but universities are really busy places, and sometimes it's hard to know what's going on. You know, you kind of hear nearly outside of the university sometimes what's happening. How do you keep that momentum in a university, a European alliance? Like, how do you keep people integrated and interested and to know what's going on? To know what your secrets are. You don't think they are secrets. But what we do regularly is we make really a webinar for all of our staff. Yeah. We do that twice a year, something like that, at very broad. And then we have an info newsletter for all of our leading staff. Yeah, I do it personally quarterly. Yeah, to update them on the most important developments within the alliance. And once a year we call it Happy Birthday EU for Dual, and we make a Happy Birthday event in January, because we start our events in January, and we make a Happy Birthday event, and everybody's invited. It's a kind of morning coffee birthday event, and we come up and then we have meetings on my line. She's a princess and she's going to bring in from the strategic point of view Heinzel to them. It's a kind of brainwashing for stuff. Yeah, with the nice focus for the film that was happening.
Yeah, and in part, two things I think. For me, if I look from a research perspective, and I think even also from an educational approach, policy perspective, Brussels becomes more and more important for us as higher education and research institutions. So I think for everybody it will become clearer and clearer in the coming years that meeting in Brussels and then having a university alliance gives you a big entity. The second for me important thing is that I see that being part of an alliance and having a partnership in another country that is not only talking about one topic makes it far more easy to keep connected, to make your contact more possible. So for researchers and also teachers, it's a broad entity, to say, it's all right in the world. They are experiencing that more and more. And I think the third one, and that's a very heavy one, yes, it's tough work also to get it under attention of a whole 30,000 students, 4,000 people, that they all can connect in a European alliance. That's also hard work for management, I think, to get it done.
Just to add a little bit, and again, it's our experience being a very small institution is that at the moment, after being a member in UTRES for 6 years, I cannot think of a single structural unit that is not involved in Galactic. So with all the projects and all the activities that we do, that I can't think of anybody who had never heard of EURASHE syndrome, not, I cannot guarantee that everybody has been to some one or other event, but it is the most important international cooperation platform for us, development platform for us, and so on. So that for us, this is really part of our. So it's not difficult.
Thank you. That's some good questions. John has one final question. No, one more. It's hard. We want to time to sum up. I think you've heard some great contributions from the panel. Thank you for the questions. But I think if you're around afterwards, you may be able to have an opportunity to have further conversations with the panel. We think that the future is right for the alliances, and we are certainly keen to have more research and innovation activities embedded into the alliances. And I think what's clear is that it's important that there's top-down support from the presidents of all of the alliance members, but you need engagement from all members across the university. So happy birthday is one way of doing it. We have a running union that falls across the alliances, and I think that you're right from an internationalization perspective. I can hand on heart say it's definitely the most important activity, certainly from a US perspective, which is one of you. So with that, can I ask you to show your appreciation for the panel, and we move on to the next.
Thank you very much for the very engaged discussion about the European University Alliance that always been in the conference where different topics with the universities and now to the Russian staff, of course. So all of you have presented your good practices and your experiences, insights in the breakout sessions. Attention now is important because you are among the biggest. As every year, an international program committee from Russia selects through a call for contribution those people who are allowed to present, honored to present in the breakout session. And that has happened also this year. You could call the sessions over the 2 days. And then, with your help, the program committee has also nominated 3 winners. Of course, you are all winners already that you can present here, but 3 who were particularly good in delivering and in sharing their innovative practices. And I first want to welcome the program committee on stage, those who were still here and just come as ready. That is the members of the program committee, yeah? Matilda told me to just invite them as ready, so make it a bit more so we're still here. And now we will see. I don't know if I need, so I'll just read from the slide. Let's see who is the second run of the new Russian crowd. Cihan Kaseda, Mustafa Sernik, Oli Osman was third. Or who is still here, please come. Then we have Right. Yes. Minutes for everyone to come here as well, and then you can still take a picture with you. That's could be like big thank you to all of those who presented in the breakout sessions. This is always particularly useful to share the practices and challenges so you really can all take something home as well in having shared your experiences with your peers. Thanks a lot, Anna-Lena. With that, yeah, almost, not completely, but almost at the end. 2 days conference discussing the universities of applied science from Europe's mainly presentations, so sessions. Friends will now share a couple of key takeaways. And I know this is the most pronounced session that separates you from Dutch, or from your training or from your discussions with colleagues. That's why we have thought how can we make it exciting and interesting to keep the energy high up. And therefore, we have invited Simon Pickard from Science Business. So please, Simon. Simon is Network Director at Science Business. And Science Business, some of you may know it, is a news company specializing in European and international research and innovation policy and funding, and also manages a network of more than 18 university and research institutes. So Simon's everyday job is to observe and also comment on what's going on in European research and innovation policy in Brussels, and he organizes also a lot of discussions with universities. So he has been here since yesterday afternoon and also, yeah, listened to all the discussions. And so Simon, thank you very much for joining me. And I would like to hear from you. You have listened to almost all the panels and the presentations. What are your 2, 3 key takeaways from this today's?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here. I should also mention that I'm still University of Applied Sciences, long-standing member of our network. So yeah, my job is just sort of reflecting on tracking all kinds of developments from research and information policy. In reality, my day job is right, because our network covers everything from the fundamental research platforms to multinationals to infrastructures, like science universities, public councils. But everybody cares about the same thing, right? It's how to make a system better. So it's always a pleasure to be part of these discussions and to listen to the perspectives and the experiences of different parts of the community. Now, I understand that we are between lunch. So I will also try to adhere to what my Dutch wife tells me on a regular basis, which is get to the point. So, should I precise my reflections and my comments? 3 words on the initial takeaways. It's collaboration, purpose, and differentiation. So just a quick outline from each in terms of the cooperation. It's a guiding principle, it's a core ethos in pretty much everything that we do in research and innovation. But what really struck me was coming from Ucha Bettinger, yes, they are blue, where she underlined this is not just a nice, it's an economic necessity. we have limited resources across the board from the European Union to municipalities and the individual institutions represented here today. So this cooperation is now a strategic necessity. We have to put resources. We have to do this. And I think that's the philosophy the talks of the past day or two. Second, on purpose, it's also a reflection on where you have evolved as a community, EURASHE and also the university's wide services. I've been following this journey, certainly in the Dutch context, with Claeys for a number of years now. And I think you've done an incredible job in uniting what was previously quite a fragmented ecosystem around something which is a common sense of purpose, mission. And beyond that, cohering your messages to people who make decisions about research and education policy. It's such a long journey to agree on what those are, to find the right messages, and to mobilize the entire community across borders to communicate those to people. That's a really momentous job so far, the one we have continued. On the differentiation, we'll maybe come to this more in the this, but we had a conference here this week about the future of collaborative research and innovation, and the Global Director in Innovate UK, the British funding agency, said we come to the realization that we have niche capabilities, and in terms of where we spend our money, we have to choose the areas where we think we have the right to win, and not try to do everything. Your organizations have niche capabilities as well, and we're going to talk about that a bit more in the context for European programs and policies. But understanding those USPs and then hammering them home to people who decide where money goes, who set policies, the frameworks, and the incentives. This is one of your critical challenges for the next few months and years, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing these 3 points. You already alluded to the European level policy discussions, and that's what you're also following day. And at the moment, we're already, somehow coming to the not yet a very crucial phase, but a very important phase already of the negotiations of the funding programs and competitiveness is a key term in all of that. And when you think back of what you heard the last 2 days, how do you think that this links to the European policy level discussions, and are universities of applied sciences and their messages, like you mentioned before, are they not taken account of in the process? Well,
Okay, so I'll start back then. First, on competitiveness, it's vital, but it's not the whole narrative. Let's link this to a reflection on what the competitiveness generally means for universities, applied sciences. Just to remind, the Commission didn't actually define competitiveness in its proposals. Dan Nika and Christian Ehler, who are the 2 joint rapporteurs in the European Parliament on the European Competitiveness Fund, took a first stab at doing that. But let me just recap what that is, right, in their proposal. Right? It is the ability of European companies to compete successfully in global markets, making it easier to invest, lowering energy costs, enhancing productivity, boosting innovative capacity, and increasing long-term public investments. Right? So that's how the Parliament says this is our competitiveness agenda, this is our definition. So as a community, figure out where you can play in that. It's fun. The second, I think, when we are looking at the broad research and innovation agenda, as a community, we have a natural tendency to gravitate towards the next sphere of right? And now here, that's useful, right? I mean, with the numbers being tossed around, 410 billion spent mission years, that's inevitable, but it's also important to keep in mind, thinking about the strategy for the next 3, 5, 7 years, there's another huge change which is on the table if you're equipped, which is the national and regional partnership plans. Right? And without wanting to bore everybody, right? I mean, the whole budget, tension, negotiation framework, and so on in Brussels is basically between what the member states get to control in terms of how they spend the money and what the nations control. right? And the member states want as much money as possible. The Commission is suggesting we take all of the funds, many of the funds that currently countries and the regions get to control, and put them into a centrally managed pot. Part of that is a trade-off, right? You get more money out of this pot if you invest more in things like research and innovation. So when we think about the positioning of different parts of the research and innovation community, how these negotiations be as important, if not even more important, than just the framework programming investments, right? And where you position yourself in that new reality, given the incredibly strong list of regions and municipalities that we talked about over the past days, that's going to be a really important part of this. Okay, that said, the two things I would say about the policy agenda that are directly relevant and what we've heard about skills and speed. Now, on skills, just another word on the big picture. Quick show of hands, who's heard of the European semester? Okay, that's the those who have, in a nutshell, it's a framework at European Union level to align economic, social, education, and cohesion instruments. The Commission twice a year publishes a set of recommendations and analyses advising the member states how to spend money more effectively towards European goals. Now, autumn last year, for the first time, the European semester made pan-EU recommendation on human capital as a key European Union level action. In the 6 months that followed, they made developing analyses and recommendations, and 2 weeks ago, they published those. And it was very interesting framing. It was Executive Vice President Minsatu and Commissioner Dombrovskis, who basically came out and said, for the first time, we are looking at competitiveness as a labour market challenge. Industry, not a technology challenge, a labour market challenge, and that being skills. So within that context, they have issued recommendations to member states around 6 specific areas: basic skills, STEM, vocational and educational training, teachers, skills portability, and skills intelligence. That strikes me as much closer alignment, which that's very good, huh? And that broader definition of competitiveness that the MEPs came up with a few weeks ago. So, within that, 15 countries receive recommendations for the Commission to do more on STEM, 10 on VET. So, in terms of what you guys do next, I would suggest that you find out whether your member state has had some very clear recommendations from the Commission on what they need to do to strengthen their capabilities in these areas, and then go and talk to your national ministries about how you can help. So that's point number 1 on skills. The second one is on the importance of data. One of the other things which the Commission is now launching is a new European skills intelligence. They need data on where the gaps between the market, between the company needs, and where the delivery capabilities are. So I think it is an opportunity, a challenging one, but it's a big opportunity nonetheless to figure out how you gather that kind of data as a community and how you can plug that into European industry. Because this platform will be up and running probably in 4 to 6 months, and it's going to be a great way to position ourselves as a key partner for the EU in evidence-based policy making around skills. On speed, perhaps much shorter because we've already covered it in different sessions. Pretty much every analysis about what's wrong with research and innovation is the need for us to move faster. And that's where I think, in terms of your applied R&D, you have a really compelling decision to tell. Right? It's not just the speed with which you can transition funding and projects into laboratories demonstrates the speed with which you can generate tangible outputs, practical solutions, tools. It's also the speed with which you can develop new education or training methods. And in that context, you have a competitive advantage over many other parts of the research and innovation ecosystem. So whenever politicians talk about the to go faster. We need to accelerate innovation pathways, journeys. You put your hands up and you say, related health. What do you got balls on that?
Yeah, thank you very much for not only telling us where are the links, but also where are really the opportunities for the University of Applied Sciences to link with European policies and also use what comes from the European level to take it back home again to national governments and actually say, look, we need to become better in this and that, and actually we are a partner in that to move forward together. This is also something that came out very much yesterday, and I will come back maybe to that a little later, this joining up different policies. Another important initiative, we heard about this in the previous panel, are the European University Alliances. They're very much in the Brussels policy discussions, so they are very important to know. And we've heard also before University of Applied Science and engaged in that. And of course, they also play an important role when it comes to the funding discussions now in the next multi-annual financial framework. Of course, new funding is quite scarce, and the backing will not be so easy. So, how do you see the future for alliances, particularly in this? Not only with regard to the research dimension, but more broadly, should the alliances, count on that, or how do you see the future?
So something actually I should have said at the beginning. Anything I say is science business editorial line. It's just stuff that's in my head. Everyone's saying it's not that. Which is very regular basis. But I guess the two main reflections on the alliances, I think they have a bright future. So long as there is the collective influences, right, and how the overall structure and what the frameworks at European level. Right? I think one of the fundamental risks in universities is being reflected it's been reflected in a number of the narratives that came up in our practices over the last couple of years. So they try to do everything. The EIT tries to do everything, like embrace the famous knowledge triangle, and it's been the best. Because you fall under different policies. You have to deal with research, you have to deal with industry, you have to deal with innovation, you have to deal with education. And the degree to which the European Union or Commission can intervene in those areas varies enormously. So my aspiration for alliances goes back to what I was saying a little earlier about European stress. We have a long-term strategic issue with skills and capabilities and talent. The development pipelines, the applicability and the material usefulness of all kinds of training and skills programs, not just for university degrees, to the European economy and society is huge, and we haven't yet come up with an effective formula for solving. Through the Union of Skills and through the Semester of Human Capital Initiative and others, the Commission is clearly trying to move member states and regions towards a more coherent approach. And the alliances, I think, have the most valuable role to play in that context. Now, there are obviously the more structural elements like European degrees, there's Bologna, etc., standardization of certain credits, a mutual recognition of learning and skills programs. But for me, this is the big window of opportunity. It is to be able to say that we, as living laboratories, not institutional structures that happen to get a chunk of change from the European Commission, but living laboratories to help define Europe's future talent potential pipelines. That for me is the biggest opportunity. The second, I think, is it's also around this. If we bring it back to competitiveness, we had some great conversation last time about the importance of alliances as basis for fostering innovation and also for the individual universities within these consortia as landing places for innovative SMEs. What we struggle with in Europe is creating kind of marketplace for innovation. I could have added onto the speed as previous discussion. With the speed of knowledge circulation, and that knowledge circulation is not just in terms of researchers and students and institutional know-how for the university now, it's also your partners. And something that we discussed in our conference 2 days ago is how do we more effectively share innovation opportunities, investment opportunities across borders. And I think the alliances can also come from, just as UAS from Europe can play a role in this. You have a direct interface with some of Europe's most innovative young companies, but they need market intelligence. They need partners to actually strengthen their tech development. They also need access to know-how and talent. And we have one of the structural issues that we do have in Europe, maybe I should say it's cultural structural issue. We have a shared concern about losing our talent, our IP, and our brain to companies to the US and China. As part of our mindset, which also says, if I have a great biotech company in Amsterdam and they move to Madrid, that's a loss. And yet, competitiveness generally is about European capabilities. So we should be thinking as ambitiously as possible about how to facilitate and create lifelong frameworks for innovative companies, entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial students to be able to connect with peers in other parts of Europe, to strengthen their tech, to strengthen their innovation, to find investment opportunities, and to collaborate, because that's the end of the stage. It's not just the commercialization.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your insights and also your broader view on European policies. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one more thought, and actually, it's just you can take this. The other thing I would love to see the future of the alliances is more international engagement. I think it's fantastic to have the panel yesterday with Hong Kong, Canada, US representative. I'm missing apologies. But wouldn't it be fantastic to go back to the actual the origins of Erasmus Mundus, not just Erasmus Plus, Erasmus themselves are properties, Erasmus Mundus. Given everything that's been happening around Greece, of European, the association Japan, Korea, New Zealand, so the framework program, how can we get a more structured engagement with these countries and others who want to be part of this collaborative effort? Design the future of education and skills. That's a simple But anyway, I myself checked yesterday in Brussels. So what have you taken? Because you've been following the conversations.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. Well, I've also thought about this a little bit, reflecting yesterday and today the discussions we had. And for me, one important point that came again and again, you mentioned as well, is the need to have more joint up policies. Robert Dijkgraaf yesterday mentioned it already in his keynote. It doesn't mean that all things should be, let's say, controlled by Brussels, far from that, but to have a more coordinated policy approach from European level and national and regional level to create this framework conditions and an ecosystem for higher education systems to be actually able to deliver on Europe's competitiveness, if you want to bring it back to the term, and also for different institutions. And that I think came back again and again. We need the different institutions, universities of applied sciences, more comprehensive universities, all to deliver on their strength. And it's not about saying one is better than the other. It's a very hierarchical, a bit old style approach still that somehow also lacks, that sometimes lack in policies. We heard this yesterday as well from Robert Dijkgraaf and others. But it's actually not necessarily serving society and what we need right now. So it's more coming back to what you also said before. I think that was an important point. Focus on the USP. What is your strength? And try to really develop this further, ingrained in a region, in a place-based approach. This was also mentioned in several discussions, and then collaborate with other partners, but not trying to copy them or trying to compete with them still a little bit and just have this approach of we're kind of collaborating, but we're still a little bit careful, but really acknowledge these other strengths and through this joining up forces actually become competitive if you want at an more international scale. But I really think that what became clear from these discussions is we need differentiation in what institutions are able or capable of doing, but that doesn't mean that we give them different value needs in terms of funding necessarily. So I think that was something very important. And when you asked me also about the future, of course, as you, some of you may know, I'm also working in foresight with universities a little bit. We don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not going to tell you now what I think the future will be in terms of European policy or future of universities of applied science, but I really think that many of the big developments that we see at the outside that came back as well, democracies, technological developments, it came even in the speech of the commissioner yesterday in the video message. We don't have a problem necessarily of knowledge, but of how to use it and to apply it. And that we also see very practically in the everyday challenges with AI now and with how society will be able to use this. And I think University of Applied Science can really play a very important role in it. So don't be shy and proud and loud, as Ellen Cohen said it yesterday, because this is also where leadership starts with, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, but don't hide yourself, and also spread this message to push this.
Absolutely. Love your points about the trade up. Also, I mean, you're the next 18 months in Brussels are going to be consumed with these very technical discussions about what makes to what, by the Chancellor Steve, what that gets from it, it's fun. But if Europe can come up with a set of proposals, instruments for the next budget cycle, which genuinely make sense, not just us control, but give more flexibility to the experts in the field around this education policy, then maybe we do have a chance of making considerable progress in the years to come. I think it can be done, but for that, the change of mindset is required.
And with that, thank you very much for sharing your back to all of you. So you can take out your phones again and go to the interview the one last time. Just answer the question, how do you feel confidence? What thought, feeling, emotion, and friends want to share, get a night ready and burn down with you. Like this, I already want to thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to answer several from the moderator. 2 days I would really also listen to many of the good practices and yes, indeed, what Irish motivating, empowering, reflective, all of this enthusiastic, satisfying, and yet somewhere in the house. But that's my pleasure to hand over to John Edwards, the Russian Secretary General, because he still had a very important announcement to make for next year, because of course, no conference and everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna-Lena. That's right. And this is the 35th annual conference. It's the first time in the Netherlands. I confirmed that with the previous Secretary General before we came to make sure that it right. It's the first time we've had it in the Netherlands, but I'm sure it's not in the last. But next year, another country, and I don't know whether we have a drum roll or not, but it's probably a secret and then this one's slipped out anyway during the conference. But it will be next year, 36th year in. Good year.
Resilience and quiet determining. Charles, one, Chinese season as the rhythm of the Baltic Sea remain part of every day. For generations, people here have learned how to grow through connection by creating, learning, and moving forward together. Tradition is preserved as memory alone. It continues to evolve through new ideas, creativity, and innovation. This spirit can be felt across the country, in its cities, communities, classrooms, laboratories, and shared celebrations. Here, education is closely connected to real life, practical experience, and the challenges of tomorrow. Together, Lithuania's universities of applied science prepare the people who shape tomorrow. At the center of this experience stands Vilnius, a green and creative European capital where historic character meets contemporary energy. A city where culture, innovation, and human connection come together naturally. Open, dynamic, and welcoming. This is a place of conversations, meaningful collaboration, and fresh ideas. From 12th to 13th May 2027, Lithuania will host the 36th EURASHE Annual Conference. We look forward to welcoming Europe's higher education community to continue shaping the future together. See you in Vilnius.
Yes, indeed, it is during the presidency. You might have seen that at the end, supported by the presidency of Lithuania and the Council of the European Union, and it's hosted officially by the Association of Rectors of University Life Sciences in Lithuania. And Lena here is a board member of EURASHE, and she's representing the association, and she'll give a few words of welcome.
Thank you, John. Hello, I'm Anna. I'm the president of the Conference of Lithuanian Applied Universities. And this academic year we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of our performance. Next year is our presidency year. So it sounds like our time has come. And we see a high standards here in Amsterdam, here in Porto Alegre, in St. Pölten, in Brussels. So it will be challenging, but I hope with our whole team will be. So on behalf of the conference, I invite you all and everybody to do this, and I promise that you will have not only productive time, but a good one as well. Well,
now, it's just my job to close the conference, and of course, I need to thank you to a lot of people. I didn't forget anyone, but firstly, thank you to yesterday evening, but thank Clay, Laia, Olmo, and also Sasha and Chloe, they're here, but it's worked like clockwork. Incredible. Also, there's other people, there's student helpers. So to all of you in AUAS, thank you very much. Secondly, though, thank you. Heartfelt thanks to my team in the Secretariat, because this is the fifth conference since the pandemic, since I joined EURASHE, and they're getting better and more professional all the time. And that's not mostly not because of me, it's because of the amazing team we have in the Secretariat. They're all working together, helping each other. At the beginning, I remember when I started, I had to worry about everything, and now things are just done really well without even knowing what's the team. Which is exactly what the Secretary General wants to happen. So look, thank you. It's the whole team, but especially we now have an engagement and communications part of that. So it shows how well. So Matilda and Alex, thank you. Also like to thank Anna-Lena, who's been an honorary member of the Secretariat in the last few months. And she told me just that when she started her career, I hope you don't mind telling you Anna-Lena, she applied for a job for EURASHE and didn't get it, which I think is, terrible. I don't know who interviewed you, and they're not training terrible decision. Whoever did it, she should have been hired. And the EUA got you, so there you go. We're not competing, but anyway. Lastly, though, and most importantly, thank you everybody here for coming. We definitely couldn't have a conference without us. Obviously, that wouldn't be a conference. To the speakers, to moderators, Hannes, and all the board for your help. Thank you, everyone. So that's it. We're coming to an end. Have a wonderful time in Amsterdam, if you say. Careful with the canals and the coffee shops and everything else in this wonderful city. And those who will say, see you next year. You can come through.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry, I can imagine that everybody is like interesting.
I'm not operating the, but you might be able to see it here on this laptop actually. I think it's this one.
Right? Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so. Yeah, super.